Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to WhatsMap, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very, very welcome. Well, it's Tuesday. Tuesday's request day. Today's map was requested by the creator over on Facebook. The link will be on the screen in a few moments' time. You know the routine by now. Now, they're from Serbia, so I would have expected maybe a Serbian style build, but apparently this map was inspired by New England. I'll let you make your own decisions up when we get to the flyover. Now it is...
It's my first map.
That's right. They're also a small YouTuber with a very crisp, clean and English presentation. So despite it being Serbian, you might actually get on with their channel. Link to their channel is on their workshop page. Link to the workshop page is in my description. It's like a full loop going on. You're lost? Me too. That's right, being totally lost is a really good way of supporting the channel, getting me seen by more people, as is hitting the like button. Thank you very much for your support. Today's map is Inuna by Marco74. I'm guessing their name is Mark, and they were born in 1974, or maybe they are 74 years old. Perhaps they drive a Chevy 74. I don't know. Anyway, there's your start square, and the start square, I've got to say, like it. I like the layout of that. It looks very interesting. Terrain heights is a little bit lumpy and bumpy and lumpy. And then we have resources that are good and strong. All sorts of mixes going on here. So you'll be able to get on fine, and a bit of lettering as well, which we'll get to later. And then if you have Sunset Harbour and you want to do some fishing, your fishing map will look like this. Mostly shellfish. Off to the workshop. What do we need? The answer is, well, apparently snowfall, park life and industries. And I'm going to tell you, you don't need any of them. Alright, you just don't. You might want them for the trams and the extra detailing and doing an industries build, but you don't need any of them. We are today using the vanilla European theme, and you guessed it, the realistic 1.2 LUT. So, let's start off by saying, I think that the creator has used the parallel road tool, and to good effect. On the whole, we have got equidistant highways going across the map. They're clean, they're crisp, and on the whole, not too, I'm going to say lumpy bumpy, not too lumpy bumpy. Even these bits, we're going up and over the hill here, but if you go down to, if we were to go down to highway level, that would be a natural incline. Not too steep, not silly, not out of control. I'm quite happy with it. This next bit, however, I'm less happy with. We go up here, we've got a bit of a bump going on here. We're looping down and around. What's wrong with that? Let me show you what's wrong with that. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, I would have, as a highway builder, I would have gone through there. I don't know why you go around there. It's not the easier route. Anyway, maybe it's based on the real life location. We will never know. I know it was inspired by British Columbia, but I don't know that this highway actually takes that route in a real life location. Because the thing is, the map doesn't feel like a terrain party map. It might be, and it does look digitized, and we will get to the digitized part of it later. It does look like it's been digitized at some point. Like we've got little telltale digital little notches like that that could be just smoothed out or filled in or something. But yeah, it's it probably is taken from a real life height map of some location. But to me, I mean, New England, I've never been to New England, but if I close my eyes and I visualize what I imagine New England to be like from what I've seen on the television, movies, screenshots, postcards, all those sort of things, doesn't feel like a New England vibe. Again, it doesn't really matter because Inuna does not say New England to me. Inuna is like a fantasy type location, I feel. So I don't think it really matters that it doesn't have, for me, a New England vibe. I do feel it's an unattractive vibe. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean for a bad map. We have had many an unattractive map that have had outstanding gameplay about them. And this map is not a map with bad gameplay. In fact, you saw the start square from above, and it looks quite interesting. If nothing else, once you start building, you're going to have an interesting city build with this one. But pretty, Well, it isn't. And yeah, the vanilla theme doesn't help much in the fact that we are vanilla trees. Mind you, these two vanilla trees are a couple of my favourite vanilla trees, so there is that going for it. Right, heading up to our first intersection here. We've got a few of these plopped down. Before we get there, we do have one instance of Blue Mantle where the terrain has just gotten away from the highway and split, and we can see down to the hell of earth, which is blue apparently. Intersections are all the vanilla wishbone, all plopped down. And because of the cliff here, we got a really sharp incline going on there. Slightly uglier one going on over this side like that. Imagine trying to drive up that in your 2CV. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Anyway, where were we? Yes, heading out next intersection. Again, another plopped one. Like, if we carry on here, this will take us off to the edge of the map. But we are not going that way right now. This is a slightly cleaner one. Again, plopped up. I mean, the vanilla wishbone is not a pretty intersection. But this one looks a lot better for it than the previous one, I think. Yep, we agree. Next up, parallel road tool out of the intersection. Stops there. This is obviously hand-drawn from this node to this node. And it's just, well, we've got jinky jankies and wibbly wobblies and all sorts going on there. And then we're straight back down to the parallel road tool again. So that little section there just needs to be reconnected a little bit clean, a little bit more time spent, and it won't take very long to actually do it well. And you would have a really lovely slip road coming out of the intersection. For what it is, the intersection, you know, not our favourite, but again, it does the job. And it's not the worst thing in the world. Not quite, anyway. So I would just bet another jinky janky going on. In fact, I think here is a location that they got as far as there, maybe went to bed or off to work or college or whatever they do. And then they came back and then he started off the parallel road from that location. Because again, from there onwards, it's like it was drawn separately. So we have one jinky janky in the middle of it from nowhere. So I reckon that was two separate trips with the parallel road tool. Start square intersection is right there. That's where you're going to start building. I like this. I like this shape. Okay. And we would normally go off towards the edge of the map here. We're going under the rail here. That's okay, isn't it? Under the rail? Yeah. And if we were to carry on, it would just take us right off. You can see the highway just wending on. We've seen plenty of highway. We know the standards. We know what it's going to do. So I'm going to switch over to the rail at this location and we'll go back the way we came. So rail over road is fine, isn't it? Isn't it? Oh, sort of. But I would have stuck this one to the ground. There is no reason for the rail to elevate here apart from to go over the road. And honestly, I think the highway would always go over or possibly under the road with a cutting rather than what we see here with the rail going elevated. It's not the worst case. It is kind of hidden by the trees. And oh, hang on, we do have some encroaching foliage with these low. Although I like these trees, they are low enough to hang into the catenary wires. And we've got all the way along here encroaching foliage that would short out the power. Again, if you don't play with catenaries, then it won't bother you, won't matter to you. And honestly, if you don't really worry about that sort of detail, it is a vanilla style map. It is like a 9-tile unlock map. I always call it vanilla style, yeah, base game style map with the 9 tiles. It's that kind of map, so you probably, if you want to play this map, you probably won't worry about encroaching foliage onto power lines. At least we haven't got any trees in the road. Now, that's something to be said for today's map. There's always a positive, you see. There is always a positive you can find. We have, again, another rail up and over here that, again, I think would have stuck to the ground. Drops down about there. And then, this junction is big. And that's good, because it's going to allow trains to enter and exit and wait for a gap in the train. So you shouldn't get too much in the way of backlog on this map with rail routes. The rail now just heads down through the hills. It's a bit of an ugly route. Rail lines like to go straight, usually, as straight as possible. But it's not too lumpy bumpy, and that is credit to be given for that as well. So again, there's always something positive to say, and that's why we have comments for finding that one thing that BonBonB missed that you quite liked. There is something, you know it. And so back to Inuna by Marco74 and the shipping routes. And we have one shipping route. Now it goes all the way across the map and it goes through all of the islands in a worrying way. I mean, if I was a captain of a boat being asked to go through the islands like that, I think it would bother me a little bit with those big boats. I probably would have just gone with one shipping route along in the distance with a few routes in towards the harbour areas, dead end routes. That's probably how I would have done those. But again, I have seen a lot worse. I would question, again, nothing wrong with it. We have the two air routes like train lines running parallel across the map. I don't think that having a separate airline running parallel adds anything to the map, but it certainly doesn't take anything away. Water flow is none. This is all sea level, and what water flow you see here, which is going through the start square, so it is moving a little bit, is edge of map water pressure pushing in to replace the evaporated water from the top of those rivers. So it does kind of work for water flow, but it's not very pretty. And so let's have a little look at what we've got down at ground level. First of all, we have a little lake here, and I've not checked it, but I'm assuming that that is below sea level, because I don't remember seeing any spawn points. Seems like a weird place to have a spawn point. I reckon that is just because it's below sea level, therefore it fills to sea level. Trees, I already mentioned I like the mix of trees, and I've got to give credit for that, because we haven't chosen the ugliest mix of trees or a mix of trees that just don't work together, because occasionally we do get those. Some of the vanilla trees do not work too well together. And the tree painting is okay. I mean, it's not blowing me out of the water, but I kind of get on with it. I don't see any bad tree painting. I do see a loop of tree painting here around the arcade. Now, the arcade is the abbreviation of Red Knight, which is Marco74's YouTube channel. I don't mind a little bit of self-promo. It's fine. I mean, probably a little bit more subtle off towards the corner of the map, maybe, but hey, it's fine. This hill chain, I don't know what sort of glacial formation that is, but it's an interesting whip going on back on itself. Hey, it's a game. Some of you are going to like this stuff, you know. There will be people that go, oh, I know exactly what to do with those hills. Now, look here. I mean, we have got... It looks like this is from a terrain party height map. You wouldn't randomly paint this, would you? With the terrain brush, would you? Oh, that's sort of dark. I wonder what that was. But no, that's just actually part of the texture. What I would probably do, personally, is... let me just load up the terrain tools. Big brush size, relatively light. I might be over softening this. In fact, I think I have over softened this a little bit. But yeah, I probably have these softness setting turned down just a little bit more than that to allow for a little bit more texture to come through. But I think doing that across the entirety of the map would make it a little bit more pleasing on the eye. Into the start square, it's relatively flat. I've got a couple of hills there and there and here, but most of it is very flat and good for building. And speaking of buildings, I've got one I'd like you to see. It's by Robert, who is down under. They do a lot of buildings from Sydney, Australia. This is Australia. No, let's not do that. Sirens, check that off your bingo card. Federation Hall. This is one of those historic buildings in Sydney, and it's a really lovely thing. Also, wait till you see the roof. But before we get to the roof, factoids. Let's do the factoids. Factoids because factoids. After the very first moonwalk, the Pan American Airlines, announced that they were willing to take inquiries about future commercial flights to the moon. They received 80,000 requests immediately. I wonder if they actually took any money on it, because they went out of business, didn't they, Pan Am? I think. Pretty sure they did. Tell me if I'm wrong. Anyway, I love it. I'm loving the roof. We have this glass roof. And yeah, we're not supposed to go in here. It's not supposed to be seen from the inside out. Hence, we can see right the way through the walls because there's no texture on the inside. And quite right, too. Robert's done a good job. Excellent job. Bad job from BonBonB. Shouldn't have gone in there. Federation Hall by Robert. That is a lovely building. Very nice. And the asset of the day, no less. Of course, the asset of the day. Before we do our usual close down bit, we have a little bit of glitchy water along these water's edge where it's gloop. Remember, water is gloop in this game, so it has to be easy to get into all the nooks and crannies. Anyway, what do you think of today's map? Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewer's Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Hit the I button now in the top right corner of your screen. It'll take you to the voting page where you can vote for free. Whew. I need to slow down. What do I think of today's map? Well, aesthetically, it's actually very similar in all respects to yesterday's map. Only this one isn't based on the real life location. I can't really give it credit for looking like the location it was based upon. So same score as yesterday, but a little bit lower for not matching up with anything that I can recognise. It's alright, it needs a bit of work. 2 stars. Detailing needs a lot of work across the map. It's okay, and if you're a 9-tile vanilla base game style player, you probably won't care, and that's fine. Go ahead and play, because a map isn't just about the detailing. But as we rate the maps on this show, it's got to be 2 stars. Gameplay potential. I'm really interested by the start square. I like that. I think we could do with a little bit more water flow, and there's lots of things that need fixing. I think it is playable though, so I'm going to give it 3 stars, but I'm going to go on the low end of 3, pass mark. Very much the same as yesterday's map. Playable and fine. Inuna by Marco74. Thanks very much for recommending, or thanks for requesting, not recommending, for requesting it. I'm glad to have seen it, and I'm sure, in fact, I've seen you've got another map out already, and maybe we'll take a look at that one. If you want me to, of course, you can just let me know, and I'll get it on the list. Anyway, thanks for watching, for commenting, for liking, and for subscribing. We got to the end again, which means if you're still here, you're part of the 20 and out elite. Use the word of the day to prove this into the comments. Score yourself some population points just for fun, and we'll be back tomorrow with another map in the What's Map series. Phew, I'm out of breath.